You deserved everything you got. This is a union city.
That is a Philadelphia tradition.
Seize the means of podcasting.
Oh, God, the boss has crushed us.
Let me tell you one thing else.
In oldie-timey times,
The pleasure of the flesh is in solidarity.
we will not raw dog reality for that one.
It's going to be wholly unprofessional.
The Scab Buster.
What have we become?
Keep together strong. Let that be your mantra. And we're live.
Okay. Hey.
Sorry to break that.
You cut me off at the pass there. Well, I was going in strong, man. Damn.
You were.
You just clipped my wings. Well, welcome to the show, I guess. I'm saying this is Gabe Christie. Can I do the thing? Can I do the original intro that I was going to do?
Yeah.
Guten Morgen, Sergeants. Nasty weather we are having. And welcome to the Labor John podcast, where we hide the trapdoor in barracks number 4 that contains the working class history of Philadelphia and the surrounding world. This is all deep cut. And I'm the Prost host, Sam James, and I'm joined by...
Ich bin die zweiter Host, Gabriel Christie.
And today we're going to learn about
The 1977 SEPTA Strike.
Oh, Bee Gees.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God. Oh my God. This lag is terrible. Am I gonna have to fill time? Goddamn, Gabe.
Yeah.
I've not heard you in 10 seconds.
Also, you should keep all of this in the episode.
Yes, I will splice this in, but yes, we are recording our first non.
Oh God, this may have been a mistake.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. So how many hookers can you fit in a hotel room of that size? Hello and welcome back to the Labor John podcast. We had a bit of a technical issue because Gabe's all the way in bumfuck Connecticut and I'm back home in Philadelphia, sunny Philadelphia.
I'm in New York City right now.
Oh.
I'm in Brooklyn.
It sounds your like lag has a Brooklyn accent.
It does. Yeah.
Okay, well, we were just about to talk about the 1977 SEPTA Strike.
Yes. So Philly has probably one of the worst worst public systems in the U.S. So
Best worst?
It's pretty good, but it's in the U.S., so it's still like decently shitty. I guess it's worst best. Is
okay.
Because
Thank you for making that. Yes, you made that distinction. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're like top tier in the U.S., but we're the worst of the top tier of the systems in the. I think
top of the trash heap. Yes.
Yeah.
Best of the worst, or worst of the best.
Yeah.
For the best in a non-civilized society, you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But one thing that SEPTA does really, really well is screw over its workers.
Oh,
it's very good at that, and as such, it is also one of the most strike-prone transit agencies in the country. So, because I know I can count at least like 6 SEPTA strikes that have happened in my lifetime that I can remember.
Yeah. Before you go on, I want you to remember, Gabe, we're being sponsored by SEPTA this week. They're paying us in bus tokens, but still, it's the only sponsor we've gotten. So if you can just lay them off a little bit.
Well, bus tokens aren't useful anymore, aren't they?
That's true. And they were always late with their payments.
Yeah.
SEPTA joke. Okay. I don't like being on camera for these episodes. Actually, I do, because I'm like a facial guy, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that was a weird thing to say. All right, we're
mean,
moving on.
Takes all sorts. All right, so we should let's do some history on the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, or SEPTA.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
pretty good. Is that what that means?
So it was formed, and this is very broad, but it was formed in 1963 as a way for basically the government of Pennsylvania to rein in and control all of the various railroads and transit companies who had been working or had been operating in the southeastern Pennsylvania area.
Okay.
Because they'd all been getting various government subsidies. And so they needed a central agency to be like, well, why are we giving these people subsidies and these people subsidies when we can just that one?
Yeah. Less paperwork.
Yeah.
That's like the driving force between all like local governments. Is it's like, will it make less paperwork? All right, that's it. We're doing that.
Yeah, but the problem is that you have to sign forms in triplicate to reduce the amount of forms that you have to sign in triplicate.
Oh, that's right. This seems like a MASH skit with Radar and Henry Blake or something. You sign the form that signs the form that informed us that we needed to sign that form before we sign the other form.
Yes.
Inform us not to sign any of these forms.
And then you have to sign the form recognizing that you've signed the form telling you to not sign the form.
Oh my God, I'm formally ending this skit, Gabe.
We could keep going, but we shouldn't. So, so it was basically a public-private partnership with really weird management, and effectively it came out as a perfect system that has had no flaws, and it's been running smoothly since 1963. So,
wow.
It's one for the episode.
Gabe, have you changed your medication, bud? Jesus, whatever it is, it's working, man. I love it. You wearing one of those "Life is Good" shirts too?
Yeah, definitely.
I like this new Gabe. I mean, short episodes, but less work for me in the editing.
Yeah, makes it easy.
I don't know what I can do with this with a song, though. Jesus God, Gabe.
Anything by Soul Train.
That's pretty good. Or, or motherfucker, father, son, brother, motherfucker, son, brother. Philadelphia Records.
Yeah,
we got some Philadelphia soul on this program.
Yeah,
there's more, isn't there, Gabe?
Yeah. So I was lying. It wasn't a perfect system. Okay. One of the main problems with SEPTA that continues to this day is its board of directors, because even though it's effectively part of the government, but it
has a board of directors.
Government, but the board of directors are all appointed by different parts of the government. Yeah, so its board of directors is made up of 15 members. 2 members are appointed by each of the 5 counties around Philadelphia. Okay, so that's around Philly. So that's Philadelphia County, Chester County, Delaware County, Montgomery County, and Bucks County. Okay, and those are the 5 counties that are served by SEPTA mostly. Okay. Then 1 is appointed by the governor, 2 are appointed by the state senate, and 2 by the Pennsylvania State House. So, which provides most of the ridership for the system as a whole, only has 2 out of the 15 votes on the management for the whole system. But those 2 members can veto a decision made by the rest of the board, but that veto can then be overruled if 12 out of 15 of the board members vote to overrule it. So, again, no notes, perfect system.
All right.
It's explanatory.
Yeah, I didn't know that I needed like a calculator and base knowledge of like how local governments work. And first of all, wouldn't the people be aboard the board of directors? Isn't it the people? Shouldn't the people be the board of directors if it's
You'd think
if it's
so.
the public? Yeah, you would think so.
Well, I'm sure that their argument would be that the people appointing the unelected board of directors are supposed to be elected by
Okay.
the populace.
Okay.
And because Pennsylvania has a long history of absolutely no corruption in government, again, perfect system.
Gabe, your sarcasm is staggering. We're not even 10 minutes in, man. Jesus God almighty.
So the other side effect of being in New York City is, well, I did get a little bit lost on the subway, but that was my own fault. But yeah, seeing
Like in the car, in the subway car, you got lost? They're all going in the same direction, Gabe. How did you get lost?
the
Subway
well,
car goes like this.
because they have like 6 different friggin' lines on the same track.
Oh.
So you get off at the wrong station, and then the line that you meant to be on doesn't actually connect to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a little bit confused trying to get back from Manhattan.
Are you blaming New York for that?
No, that was user error.
Oh,
But
okay.
my main point here is that I got to experience an actual complete transit system. Whereas SEPTA, our subways, we have one line on each track,
Yeah.
and north, south, east, west doesn't actually cover most of the city. But anyway,
more roads.
yeah, I think we do need to bring back freight rail traffic on Washington Avenue in South Philly, because they're doing the whole like Washington Avenue redesign.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I haven't seen proposed is we need heavy freight traffic along 3 of the lanes of Washington Ave.
I like it. Let's do that.
Just run over children, smash into cars.
Yeah. And on Roosevelt Boulevard too. I think
Yeah.
there should be one.
Oh, yeah. Definitely on Roosevelt Boulevard.
Racetrack.
Yep. Okay, so getting back to the actual topic at hand.
Oh, shit.
So let's talk about SEPTA in the 70s.
Hey.
It was a great time. So it was not, however, a great time for workers. We were starting to see, even in the early 70s, we were seeing some stagflation going on, where wages were staying the same. But inflation continued. And as a result, workers' take-home pay wasn't doing too much, and it kept going down every year. Or your actual ability to buy shit kept going down, which is just kind of how inflation works.
Huh. It's not like that anymore, though.
No, we solved it with computers.
See, I can sarcasm too. You didn't know that, motherfucker, sister, brother. That's gonna be my thing now.
You need to make that band.
All right, 70s SEPTA. I'm thinking like SEPTA now, like the floors of the buses. I'm thinking like, what the fuck is a 1977 SEPTA bus floor feel like?
Oh God,
like the floor of a goddamn disco.
Well, I'm guessing.
Is Coke sticky when it gets wet? I don't know.
Nothing had air conditioning or heating. Is my guess. I don't know that for certain, but like
SEPTA buses now do have good air conditioning. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And trains, like middle of the summer, I get cold on a SEPTA train.
Mm-hmm.
But I also take it in off-peak hours, so there's no one else in the cab.
Wow.
Which helps. When you're crammed in there like sardines, it's still good. Okay. So, 1971.
We're never going to finish this episode, are we?
There's too much to talk about with SEPTA.
There is. There really is.
So, 1971, Transit Workers United Local 234, which represented SEPTA bus, trolley, and subway employees.
Okay.
Because if you remember back to, I think the 1944 strike,
Yes.
one of our previous episodes, the because that was the Philadelphia Transit Company, and so they basically Transit Workers United 234 continued over from the Philadelphia Transit Company, whereas all the regional rail came over from a couple different like intercity lines, and then also Conrail, and also and the Reading Railroad, Penn Central, and basically all of the railroads had their own union separate from all flight workers and whatnot. So I didn't read up on the railroad unions because they got even more complicated than this.
Okay, we're already an hour and a half into this episode.
Yeah,
I don't think another hour and a half really matters. So
no. Okay, so Transit Workers United Local 234.
234.
Were negotiating a new contract in 1971, and management was, doing management stuff, so not negotiating.
Listening to the workers.
Yeah. So the workers wanted an increase in wages, and management was responding by saying, actually, we should cut your wages, which is a great way to negotiate.
They literally said, actually, we should cut your wages. Okay,
yes.
we're just going to cut your wages.
Yes. So they union leadership thought they had a good contract by the end of March of 71. Okay. But when it got handed out to the membership rejected it with a near unanimous vote on March 30th.
Oh.
So it went back to negotiations, and then a strike was called on April 12th. That strike lasted 9 days. Management got a court injunction against the strikers after 2 days. So basically, they were trying to say that the strike was illegal and they had to go back to work. But the workers continued out on strike because they figured that any strike you win is a legal strike. So they figured if they pulled out, they can still succeed in it.
That whole thing about like strikes being illegal or not allowed to strike is kind of like it's the point of a strike, It's kind of like putting people in those free speech zones. It doesn't kind of work. It's kind of against the definition,
Yeah. So during that strike, the union president was actually briefly incarcerated. And so after the president of the local got arrested, and a couple other striking members got arrested, they ended up calling it off after 9 days.
Okay.
So they did 7 days of illegal striking and having to dodge the cops. But they want a 75-cent per hour pay increase and better pension benefits. Hey. So it wasn't a total failure there. And especially considering the other option was taking a concession in pay, getting a raise out of it, that was a good strike.
And they did it legally.
Yep.
Those naughty boys and girls.
1975 was the next one. And so it's basically, I wasn't sure about this, but from what I could tell, the contracts were all for 2 years. So 1973, there wasn't a strike over the contract, surprisingly, for whatever reason. 1975, management was being dickish again. So
do they do a contract every year or every 2 years?
Every 2 years, from what I can.
Okay.
That's what it looked like.
Okay.
What's
it now? Is it still 2 years or like 4 years?
I think
7 years? Is it 2 years?
I think it is on a. I think they're still signing 2-year contracts. Yeah. So, because they almost went on strike in 21. This time, after the experience of the 1971 strike, Local 234 started their pressure campaign early. And in October of 1974, so a full 6 months before the contract was up, they held a big rally, or they had a general meeting, and then announced that they'd start agitating, and they were pushing mostly for a cost of living clause, so that they wouldn't have to strike for or push for a raise every contract, that they wanted.
One that's built into the contract.
Yeah,
like a 2% raise or something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so basically they just wanted it to match inflation, so that you were at least losing money every year.
Yeah.
But the Pennsylvania governor said that
who was the Pennsylvania governor?
This was Shapp.
Yay! Shappy! The Shapster's back. Wow.
Yep.
Our reigning hero, Milton Shapp, is back.
Yeah. And we're bringing in another friend of the show in just a moment.
Oh, Jesus. The whole gang's here.
Oh, yeah. So Governor Milton Shapp said that there was no new money. They just didn't have any money.
So I can't be angry at the Shapster. I'm sorry. I'm on the Shapp's team, man.
Yeah, so Shapp said he couldn't put any, or there was no money in the budget. He suggested that the union allowed the current contract to continue into June when a new budget passed. So he wasn't just saying "fuck you." He was being
but
it was
they
kind
never. Have we ever had a budget for anything like that? You know?
Oh God, it's Pennsylvania. We've never had a budget.
Yeah.
Then, so the union didn't like that. And on March 15th, 1975, they walked out and went on strike.
Okay.
SEPTA immediately put up another injunction trying to get all of them arrested.
Wait, they can't do that. They can't do that.
Then, so that strike lasted 11 days and ended when our favorite man, Frank Rizzo,
fuck me,
actually did something kind of good.
Friend of the show, Frank Rizzo.
Yeah.
He's done most things that are good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to keep my tongue in my mouth. It always fell out there.
Yeah, so he stopped kicking puppies long enough to find $2.5 million in the city budget.
Jesus Christ.
In the 1975 contract, they got a cost of living clause. So they actually won that, which is pretty great. They got a $1.10 an hour raise.
Okay.
At any age after 30 years of service.
A what? You cut out in the beginning of that sentence.
They got a pension, at any age. So if you started working for SEPTA at 18, you could retire at 48
Damn,
with full
all
pay.
right. Hey,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Good fucking deal.
That's pretty
Um,
good.
then they also got a 10th day of holiday leave. So I don't know what holidays specifically they were getting, but they got a 10th one. So
Frank Rizzo gave him Martin Luther King Day off.
So
It was the first official Juneteenth, actually. That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh God. Then they also got a prescription plan and better sick time.
All right.
So
this sounds all good.
yeah, 1975 was a pretty good contract for them. They and they had you could also see they were getting a little bit more and more militant because they were learning or they were seeing hey, we go out on strike, we actually get results here.
Yeah.
So
what if they make it extra illegal? Then they won't go on strike.
Well, we're gonna get to that. While all of this is going on, inflation was still skyrocketing. So they were making all of these wins, but their actual home pay really wasn't getting that much better.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I think it might be later on. Okay, yeah, I have this. I go into the inflation a little bit later. So management was getting pissy and starting to fight back even more. In June of 76, they started to threaten layoffs and said that they were going to reduce service. The union responded to that by saying they were going to go on strike, so management backed down, which again the union just kept seeing every time we go out on strike we get what we want. So they were getting more and more militant. They were getting ready to really do that or to really fight, which I would say all unions should have that mindset. But we'll see how it goes in 77. And now I'm foreshadowing too heavily.
Gabe, you know the story, man. Why are you? That's about what was just saying. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wrote this about a month ago, so I don't really remember much of it.
Okay, we're learning together then. Okay.
Yeah. So the inflation that was going on was so that $1.10 raise that they got in 75 was now only worth 98 cents. So they lost 12 cents an hour, which today doesn't sound like much, but when you're getting paid $1.10 an hour, 12 cents makes a difference.
Honestly, 12 cents makes a difference today.
Yeah.
I remember getting 12-cent raises when I was working retail. So.
Yeah. I was happy to get a 25-cent raise.
Yeah, pizza in the break room. I fucking hate you, but I'll take this pizza because I'm sick of ramen.
See, and I should have unionized when I was working at Papa John's because we got free pizza anyway.
Oh, a loophole.
Yep.
You could have brought down the system, Gabe. What happened, man? You resting on your laurels, man. Papa John's made you a class trader, Gabe.
True. Building up to the strike of 77.
1977 SEPTA Strike. Hello, welcome to Labor John Podcast. Hey, 1977 SEPTA Strike. Let's go.
Yeah. So just as they had done in 1975, the union started pushing for or agitating and negotiating for their 1977 contract in October of 1976. So they wanted to allow for 6 months of negotiations. management was getting pissy. I also forgot to mention that outside of Philly, because while we don't like to acknowledge this in the city of Philadelphia, there is a world outside of the city limits. I know it's hard to understand. So unions had been making a lot of concessions, or other unions outside of Philly had been making a lot of concessions, and had been entering into agreements with management being like, okay, there's a recession, we'll take a pay cut until the company can get back up on its feet.
Okay.
Which, there's a discussion as to whether or not a union should ever do that. But
I love how you just leave these up in the air. Like, you obviously have an opinion on everything you have said so far that you're just like, maybe we should have known. There's a discussion about nailing babies to trees. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle.
it depends on whose baby.
And whose tree?
Yeah.
That tree's older than that baby.
Really, you need consent from the property owner. That's the most that negotiation.
Yes. I think we should leave this whole conversation. I think we should just go back to our roots of what we were talking about.
I agree.
Wait, I can do something with bark, probably. Fuck it. Let's not beat around the bush. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Lord help me.
Let's start another branch of discussion here. So
was that your Oakley pun you had?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we should get back on topic.
Pine.
We're never going to get very popular if we keep making.
God damn it, Gabe! Stop it!
Contract.
I let you one up with. I'm going to let you one up me on tree puns for today.
I know we're going to come back with one.
Only because you're in New York and you have to deal with that.
So October of '76, started negotiations. Management basically immediately said, "Fuck you."
In so many words, yes.
Yeah. And just did not negotiate in good faith whatsoever.
Okay.
So negotiations pretty quickly went to fact finding, which is just another word for third party arbitration, basically. Okay. So both parties come up with a plan, present it to a supposedly neutral third party. Mm-hmm. That third party reads both of them and then comes up with a compromise. So the fact finder suggested a contract settlement. An agreement was sent out to all of the union members on February 24th, 1977. It was sent out to the bargaining committee and the president of the union, and was pretty much immediately rejected. It took them another
That was quick.
Yeah. I wasn't able to find what was in that proposal, but I'm guessing it wasn't great.
Probably not.
So then another agreement was proposed just before March 14th, which was the strike deadline. The Philadelphia Daily News immediately, because the contract negotiations were pretty public, and the Philadelphia Daily News got their hands on the proposal, or the March proposal, and basically just complained about, or basically just said that it was overly generous and painted the SEPTA union as like sitting high on the hog.
Oh, okay.
Because Philadelphia Daily News is a great newspaper.
Yeah, wonderful publication. Friend of the worker.
So, and their main complaint was that SEPTA still hadn't found money for the 1975 contract, and the state wasn't actually providing it, even though the state was kind of supposed to.
Oh, okay.
So then the Inquirer got a little bit deeper into the politics of all of it. And basically, they were explaining that no politician in the whole Commonwealth of Pennsylvania wanted to touch these negotiations at all.
Not even the Shapster?
Not even the Shapster. Actually, probably the Shapster most of all didn't want to touch this. So
And he's been touching on everything else, baby.
well,
You know the Shapster.
so if they came in and said, I can fix it, and then failed to find a solution, that would look bad.
Yeah.
And that would basically ruin their career. If the solution also ended in an increase in fare, or in the fare price for SEPTA, that would also ruin their career. Rizzo, and this is one of the weird things. So, like, Rizzo was staunchly opposed to a fare increase because he knew that would absolutely ruin his career.
That would, yeah.
And he needed to stay in office so that he could continue to call people crumb bums. So while Rizzo was against a fare increase,
Okay.
his SEPTA managing director, a guy with the most Jewish fucking name I've ever heard, of Hillel Levinson. So Hillel Levinson supported a fare increase.
Okay.
And which he was appointed by Rizzo and then went against what Rizzo wanted to do.
Oh.
Which I'm surprised that, like, he survived and didn't just, show up in the school.
That's
must have-
slander, sir. That is slander.
He's a friend of the show. He'll understand.
Oh, poor Frankie. Poor Frankie.
Yeah.
Raking the boy over the coals, man. He's been dead for years.
Good riddance. That was a stretch. So none of the people who had access to the purse strings were actually willing to, like, do anything to solve this problem. SEPTA wasn't willing. I can't fucking talk. To find the money. They actually still wanted the union to take a pay cut.
Okay.
Was their solution to everything. And then the workers needed a raise so that they could, like, eat.
Oh,
Which was nice.
I guess so. They can just get food from the Hillel truck on the corner of the street when he's not being the sub-director of SEPTA.
Yes, managing director.
Managing director. That's what I said. And I will cut that in when I do the edit.
Okay, so negotiations continued. Tensions were getting higher and higher because everybody knew a strike was coming. On March 18th, there was a small wildcat demonstration led by Joseph Donato, who was he'd been a bus driver for 20 years.
Do you want to do a brief miniature description of what a wildcat strike is?
I guess I should, because I forgot to put that in.
We haven't done an official wildcat strike, I don't think.
No, we
have,
haven't.
but we never talked about it, at least.
No. So wildcat strike is basically any strike that isn't sanctioned by the union local as a whole.
Okay.
So usually when you go out on strike, all of the members of the local have to vote yes or no on it. A wildcat strike is any amount of members making the decision themselves to go out and do it.
Got it.
Typically, it's without knowledge or input from union leadership as well.
The more you know.
Donato was frustrated by the settlement and was demonstrating against both SEPTA and the president of TWU Local 234, Ned Ladone.
Okay.
He believed wasn't fighting enough. So while the management was actively trying to screw over the local within the local itself, there was also a fight for power because Joe Donato wanted to get Ned Ladon, I don't remember, I don't know how it's pronounced, replaced as president. So the next day, so they did Donato and like I think it was about 15 other guys went out on this wildcat strike on March 18th. March 19th, he walks back into, I think he worked at the Frankfurt Transportation Center. So he walked back in and then immediately got fired.
Oh.
And then the next day, SEPTA fired 14 more drivers who were also in the strike. Donato and those other 14 drivers continued to like agitate behind the scenes while everything else was going on because they had a lot more free time on their hands now that they were fired. So negotiations continued to stall until a final offer was rejected by a secret ballot vote of all of the members at 12:01 March 25th. The strike started. So we're finally at the 1977.
Holy shit!
Strike. 49 minutes into the episode.
Oh my god, man!
Yeah, it was hard to.
Than that. Oh my god!
Oh yeah. So
this is the fun part now.
Yeah. So picket lines got set up at ticket counters, bus stations, subway stops, and all the bus depots.
Okay.
And picket lines ranged from everything from like there were pictures of just basically a piece of cardboard in the window at a ticket counter, like one of the subway stops, saying on strike, all the way up to like actual barricades being placed in front of bus depots.
Okay.
So one of the problems was a lot of the workers expected to go on strike back on the 14th because that was the initial deadline.
Yeah.
And they like everyone was ready to go on the 14th and then nothing happened. Okay. So they like their planning broke down a little bit and a lot of people were caught off guard when the strike happened on the 25th. But once the strike started, they were like, all right, we're doing this.
All right. We're in motion. Let's go.
Yeah. There was one guy who was interviewed who said, once we go out, it's going to take a hell of a lot to get us back. There's no way we're coming back for a nickel or a dime. So he wants
an injunction.
Yeah.
Can I call it? First one was 9 days. Second strike lasted 11 days. This one's lasting 13 days.
You'll see. In addition to the contract demands, there was also talk of demanding reinstatement of the wildcat strikers.
Yeah.
Wanted to get their jobs back.
Yeah.
I apparently misspoke. Donato had been a bus driver for 29 years, not 20 years.
Oh.
So that's right, because that's the whole thing, that he was only 1 year away from getting his pension. It's the whole strike and negotiations got really weird really quickly. Even weirder than they already were.
Okay.
So the governor, or immediately after the strike started, the governor said that the strike, or that the workers voted on the strike under false pretenses. Because there was a KYW News Radio report from a couple days before the strike.
KYW was back in the 70s. They had KYW News Radio 1060.
There we go.
Okay.
See, that's the one thing that I really liked about this, is that like we're hitting all of the key points of Philadelphia culture.
Everything is in this episode, man.
We have SEPTA, we have Shaft, we have Rizzo, we have KYW.
When people land at the Philadelphia airport, this is the video that comes on all the screens.
KYW had reported that Governor Schaap offered SEPTA $4 million in subsidies to pay for the raises, but Schaap denied that, saying instead that the workers voted against the offered contract under false pretense, or under the false belief that there would be money for the raises. So he, I couldn't find any info about where this KYW report came from, and I don't know if it was Schaap just backpedaling, but the end
He
result
doesn't do
was
that. That doesn't sound like Shat.
no, definitely
No.
not. He's a straight shooter.
He's a straight peddler, Gabe.
Oh, there you go.
Cheesesteak. All right, we're almost done our Philadelphia bingo card.
There you go. Oh yeah, I didn't mention cheesesteaks yet.
Has anybody mispronounced water? We got to do that next.
Yeah, that's true.
Pat's and Geno's best cheesesteak. Hold on, I got it. Best cheesesteak in the city.
See, I stand by my rule for any good food anywhere in Philly. You wait until exactly 12 o'clock, you find a construction crew, and you follow them. You will find good cheesesteaks, and they will be cheap.
You know how someone's actually from Philly? They don't tell you where the good cheesesteak place is because they don't want you going to it.
That's also true.
Yeah, that's why,
man. Everyone has their own little secret.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll bring you the fucking cheesesteak, but I ain't gonna tell you where I got it, brother. Okay.
Yeah. Well, half the time it was because it was cooked in the back of a pickup truck, which I mean that makes the best cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Because you need the gasoline fumes in there, and it melts the cheese better. Anyway, so strike continued into April.
Okay.
Negotiations restarted, and then stopped, and then restarted again. They brought in a negotiator from the Pennsylvania Labor Relations Board, a fellow named Edward Feehan, who I have no clue who he is.
He's a fella from the Pennsylvania Labor Relations Board. That's who you know.
Yeah.
Can't he just be that, Gabe? Does he have to be anything else? Damn. Someone needs 2 titles for you? God damn, Gabe. How many titles you got, brother?
Co-host.
That's what I thought, motherfucker. Sister, brother. It's 3. The rules of comedy in 3. I can't use that anymore. I'm sorry. And I play by the rules.
So on April 3rd, yellow cab drivers had voted 271 to 11 to authorize a strike. Not in solidarity with transit workers, but for their own contracts. And so the big problem there was that with all of the buses shut down, everyone was using the cabs. And then the cabbies went on strike. Conrail workers almost went on a wildcat strike protesting Conrail firing 1,100 union members.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of the big department stores downtown started using the strike as an excuse to start closing down or shut down departments.
Okay.
So really they had already been kind of failing because both the markets had already changed against them and it was a recession, so they were starting to fail. But this provided them a really convenient excuse to just be like, oh, well, we got to fire all these people because there's a strike. And oh, sorry.
Call J.G. Woolworth, 877 cash no.
So then, Wood Brothers had already been facing hard times, and they used the strike and the recession to try and get their union to take a 40% decrease in wages. But then during the strike, they had a massive sale, which wasn't a going out of business sale, but everyone took as a going out of business sale.
Everything must go.
Yeah.
We're not going on this.
So, and another impact of the strike was that everybody who had a car started driving. Which,
So that's why the ozone layer is so thin now. It's a
Yeah.
1977 SEPTA strike.
Yep. And this was probably still with, I don't know when they got rid of gasoline and lead, or lead and gasoline.
Gasoline and lead. Holy shit. How many problems do we have as a society?
I'm sure there's gasoline and lead.
We're not blaming ExxonMobil anymore. We're blaming these SEPTA workers now for this, for everything that's for the rivers drying up in France now. So, okay.
Yeah, I think that works.
That was called social commentary of the body.
Okay, so yeah, lots more driving, lots more leaded gasoline fumes in the air. So there's probably a lot of people who got lead poisoning because of this strike, which isn't great. But they could have avoided the whole strike by just paying them more. There were some reports of emergency vehicles getting caught in city traffic. And there was a whole big hullabaloo that traffic was gridlocked from 30th Street Station to Center City. So, every single day in the city now. All the newspapers made a whole big deal about this.
Okay.
And blamed the strikers, of course, rather than SEPTA.
That's because that's easier.
Yeah. But the bigger problem was that the public was starting to turn against the strikers at this point.
Yeah. Because they read the goddamn Philadelphia Daily News.
Yeah. So then on 27th of April, Rizzo basically took SEPTA and the union by their ears and dragged them back to the negotiating table. And said, you just talk it out.
Good on you, Rizzo.
Yeah. Then finally, on May 6th, after 44 days,
How many more?
44 days.
Oh, it was an even number. No.
Yeah. They reached a proposal, but it basically forced the union back into a worse contract than what was offered in March. So the membership was not happy. There was a big wildcat demonstration with over 350 people in attendance. And that again was led by Joe Donato, because he was still agitating. But
what's his name?
Joseph Donato.
Joe Donato? Yo, yep. Joe Donato.
Yeah, because it was Joe Donato and Ned Ladone. So the new contract that they were getting was drivers would make $6.80 an hour, and $7.30 an hour after a year's raise. That's about $33 an hour and $35 an hour, respectively. So, not the best, not the worst, but other city bus drivers were starting at $7.50 an hour, and most were closer to $7.70 an hour. So Philly was way lower than most other places. So these demonstrations, or one of the demonstrations, was led by Driving Force, which was a left-leaning group that was critical of Local 234's leadership during the strike. So this is the only mention I have found anywhere of driving force existing.
I don't know what
But
your quotation marks is supposed to represent, though.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if they were associated with DSA wasn't around then. There was SDS. You might have had like CPUSA connections at this point.
Okay.
There were definitely some pictures of guys, or some pictures of the Wildcat Strikers. Definitely looked like there were some former Panthers in there.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
Jesus God.
but
Great,
I
the
don't
great
know.
Gray Panthers, right?
No.
Just a bunch of 75-year-old women. That's a callback to an early episode. It could just be a bunch of like sailors who just spent so much time out seas. They came on land and they just have a permanent 30-degree list to port now.
That's possible.
Left leaning.
Oh, Jesus. It's too late for that.
I'm barking up the wrong tree, I guess, Gabe.
Oh, God, we're not going back to that. Driving Force was out there arguing that they should just stay out on strike and that they can still win. Donato was also out arguing that basically the union members need to think about the long-term ramifications of the contract, because it would mean that their next contract would probably be even shittier. May 7th, 1977, 8:15 p.m., the strike ended.
Okay.
They accepted the contract.
All right.
It was a pretty bad defeat for the workers. Yeah. Public sentiment was against them. The newspapers were putting out pretty anti-labor stuff all the time, except the day before they ended the strike, the Inquirer posted this whole big thing about the Ned Ladone's wife, because they had sat down and interviewed Ned Ladone's
Mrs.
wife.
Ladone?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a whole thing about how you could understand the SEPTA strike by the cost of mayonnaise. Which was basically an argument being like, inflation's going up, we're striking so that we can afford basic necessities.
Okay.
So then the dark side of that, or the bad long-term ramifications, aside from the fact that it screwed the workers over,
Okay.
SEPTA ridership dropped 10% and has not fully recovered from that.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
That might be changing soon, possibly, because ridership has been going up the past couple years, but we will see.
I think we should just chalk it up to the price of mayonnaise still being incredibly high in this day and age. I think that's
Mayo,
what it is.
annoyingly expensive.
I don't think we should look at the Dow and everything. I think we should look at the Mayo. You know what I mean? That's where it's all at.
There were two really weird things that came out of the strike. One, the Philadelphia NAACP sued both SEPTA and the Transit Workers United Local 234 in common court, saying that they had or they were suing them for unfair damages to the citizens of Philadelphia during the strike.
Okay.
They imposed an undue burden on people who needed to take public transit.
Yeah.
That got tossed out of court basically the moment the judge
the moment Frank Rizzo heard about it.
So then there were also some like absolutely batshit editorials that came out during the strike.
Oh my God.
One of them was talking about how the strike was an act of mini terrorism.
Oh my God.
And that Americans should pay attention to the fragility of our urban infrastructure, because strikes like this show what would happen if a terrorist organization attacked our public transit. So basically, it was like weird anti-labor fear mongering mixing with Cold War fear mongering mixing with like just normal terrorist fear mongering.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so that was the two weird results of this strike. But yeah, so that was the 44-day SEPTA strike of 1977.
It brought back Milton Schaap and Frank Rizzo. I'm a
Yep.
happy guy.
Yep.
I don't even care how much mayo is cost these days, man.
Yep. And KYW News Radio.
We're sponsored by them this week.
Hello, this is Gabe with a brief correction and better audio because I have my mic set up and I'm not calling in through my phone. I realized got my dates a little bit mixed up here. Conrail wasn't incorporated until 1976. Prior to that, SEPTA contracted out all of its rail service to Penn Central. When Penn Central went bust, it got rolled into Conrail. Then SEPTA changed its contract over to using Conrail. If you happen to find any other mistakes that we made in this episode, please send us an angrily worded email in all caps to labordrawn@gmail.com, and we look forward to hearing how else we've screwed up. Hey, this is Gabe, and thanks for listening to the Labor Drawn podcast. So for now, we live in a system called capitalism, and under this system, you have to exchange currency for goods and or services. And to that end, Sam and I put a lot of time, effort, and a fair chunk of our own money into keeping this podcast available and generally free. And if you'd like to help support us doing that, you can give us some money at patreon.com/labordrawn. And if you choose to do so, we'll give you a fancy button every year, some cool merch, and an extra episode once a month, whenever possible, because life is hard, because capitalism. Anyway, we'd really appreciate your support if you've got a few bucks to spare. Also, if you happen to be a member of a union, and you want your fellow union members to learn about local labor history, we do commission work, like presentations, pamphlets, that kind of stuff. So if that sounds cool, you can shoot us an email at labordrawn@gmail.com or contact us through labordrawn.com or message us on social media or whatever's most convenient for you. But if that sounds interesting, feel free to reach out. And anyway, thanks for listening. Solidarity. Have fun.